Have you ever heard it said that the only constant in life is change? If you ask me, it's so true. I see it in my own life and countless others around me. Join me as I journey into the land of the empty nest, or free bird, as one of my sisters prefers to call it, and discuss how spiritual practices are supporting me through, as well as friends and family members. I hope you walk away with new perspectives and a newfound appreciation for yourself. Let's dive into the episode. So, welcome back to Mystical Sisterhood. This is your host, Maureen Spielman, and I'm here for a solo episode today. I am happening to be experiencing in real time a lot of change in my life. And so, as changes do, I am being brought to reflection and being in the moments. I have my third and youngest child leaving for college. My first child is moving to another state. He's 23. And my daughter, is going to be beginning her last year of college. So there's been a lot of swirl of activity too, especially with the college process. This just starts so much ahead of when they actually leave if you're in the United States, which is a crazy thing in and of itself. And I'd have to say, that we've played it a little more low key than a lot. I think probably my third time through and the way that I tend to hold just processes and long for the reform of some processes out there. But that being said, it's been a journey to get to this point where I'm actually leaving with my husband tomorrow morning to bring these two kids to college. And so I'm feeling a lot of feels, and I think the weeks leading up to it, people would say, "How do you feel?" And I couldn't really answer that question because it's often the emotions come when they come, the feelings come when they come. I can say that one feeling, or yeah, I guess it's a feeling that I've been being with, is our home has begun to feel emptier without that time even being here yet. And so it feels anticipatory in a way, like a future version of me can already feel that. Maybe it's my higher self, a future version. And that was helping me not plan, but move into this time period that's coming up with more ease, almost preparation in a way, which is fascinating. I just thought about that for the first time, about what that anticipatory feeling could be there for. But what I can say too is that this time of change for me has been greatly aided by having spiritual practices and forming those practices and rituals and beliefs, overturning a lot of what I believed. And that's been done through my coaching programs, through my own therapy, through my own coaching, and a whole lot of reading and commitment to myself. But one of the earliest premises that I came up with for Mystical Sisterhood was that joy and healing would co occur in the same space. And I believe that's true for the change I'm going through now. There's the joy of it all and the celebration and the happy moments. And then there's being with the healing parts and the emotional parts and the parts that feel a little bit harder. But I love that joy and healing is a theme that comes back again and again. That I guess it's sort of like the phoenix rising from the ashes, right? The beauty, the lotus flower, the beauty that comes out of the muck, or the commingling of these experiences in our life. And that's all I'll say on that. But it's also a precipice or a portal that feels really auspicious and has me looking in the rear view mirror. And when I look in that rear view mirror, that's hard to say, I see so much. I see myself as a young and at the same time naive mom who gave birth to three children in 5 years. I see, and it's part of the reason I do the work I do today, I see the overwhelmed me struggling with postpartum or parenting in early childhood, and that experience being very draining to me. I also see a hopeful mom or version of me who always reached out for support, because there was something inside of me that knew that I was worthy of that and that it would help me through. I was thinking about how back then, only 20 years ago, I had my first child in 2000, but that there weren't as many roadmaps. There were some parenting books that you would find on the shelves at Barnes and Noble, but there weren't a lot. And contrast that to all the resources available, let's just say for parents today, and yet we all know that we're going to each be on our own journeys. So whatever is in there for us to learn in those journeys, it's going to be there. And every blog and every website and every person who is out there to support us, they can support us. It's a beautiful thing. And yet we experience what we're meant to experience in this lifetime. So I think that's interesting. Yeah. And I see my kids at the same time growing up, going through all the grades, hitting their milestones, having their hardships, celebrating birthdays. So, again, the wonderful times and the difficult times too. And now just being at this place in my life where the kids are leaving and the energy is shifting, and there is a quiet and there is a stillness and a witnessing happening, a busyness that's slowed down. It is beautiful and it's full of emotions at the same time. If you've been here in these shoes or are experiencing big shifts in your life, perhaps you're feeling a similar path, a parallel path about how the emotions are real and here for you. And you see yourself getting through. You see yourself maybe navigating better than you ever have. I was thinking about it, about how moms and women have been so cultured and conditioned to be taking care of other people, be taking care of our kids, taking care of our aging parents, taking care of those in our community, friends who need it, siblings who need it. And we've been so cultured. I was thinking, oh my gosh, these kids are leaving the nest, but we've been so cultured that we are here to take care of our loved ones and those outside of us that sometimes it's easy to miss how much you have grown or how I have grown. And so that has me with that witnessing. Oh, okay, Maureen, this is so interesting. How are you moving through this? And I think that one of the gifts of becoming a coach has been that I've learned to take care of myself. And through the programs that are here for me to help others really prioritize themselves and put themselves in the first position above all else and really learn what they're here to heal, what they're here to let go of, what they're moving forward into, like all the beautiful things. That is for me to apply to my own life and say, oh, geez, Maureen, these children have grown, and how have you grown? And how have you done it? And having so much compassion for the journey and every single thing about it. I think a former version of me, oh, was absolutely so hard on myself and gosh, in judgment and criticism and the not enoughness. And again, I want to refer to some of the beliefs and practices that are pulling me through, but just that alone, I think the older version of me, based in an older paradigm, is the one who wasn't enough, who felt more lack, who felt more scarcity, who felt there wasn't enough time, that she hadn't done enough, that she wasn't enough, that there was more that she should have done. A lot of shoulds in there you're hearing. And then moving into this beautiful thing that occurred where, and maybe it was, I think it would have happened no matter what. Maybe it was the walls crashing down when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. But just that in any case, a woman on a journey of remembering herself, of rediscovering herself, putting herself first, and practicing new ways of holding herself gently and with understanding and with compassion and unconditional regard. So, all of those things to say, I'm moving through change. You might be moving through change. We're here with one another. Last week, I did 2 podcast recordings on Wednesday, and they were really great. And later that day, I had really wanted to go get my nails done. And so I went to the local nail salon, and I was sitting there at the very end when you just want to leave the salon and they're like, sit here under the dryer for 15 minutes. And that's the last thing you want to know that you want to do. And you're going to laugh because in haste, I did smudge my nail and I was like, who the hell cares? So anyway, that's not the story. The story is actually that I was sitting quietly letting my nails dry, I didn't have my phone out. And I was looking around the nail salon, and there was a woman probably in her 70s getting a pedicure. There was a mother with her daughter, and I think delighting in the fact that her daughter, I think, was getting her a first pedicure. It was really sweet. I was seeing the women who work there. And for some reason, the experience of being a woman and knowing everything I've gone through, and it does make me want to cry. Everything I've gone through to get to this point, and like seeing the other women surrounding me and knowing that they each had a story, that they each had just this life to tell. And it was just so rich, and it just got me like, wow, just it was an honoring and a reverence. And in silence, I see you. And maybe that's, me, or how we all want to be seen, right, for our experiences. But it was really beautiful, and I was grateful for it. I am moving through this, and I'd have to say, amidst it all, I am really grateful for the self-care practices and spiritual beliefs I have cultivated. I call them spiritual practices because they're really not only going through the motions, but practices that are based deeply on connecting and understanding oneself. I might have a broader definition of what it means to live a spiritual life. And for me, it is understanding that I am a soul living in a human body, in a physical body. So being spiritual is naturally going to encompass believing in something bigger than myself, running this whole show, running this whole magical and crazy universe. It also involves honoring my emotions, the belief that somehow, some way, this is all for me carries me through. That's the belief that I didn't know before I studied soul psychology or spiritual psychology. So let me say that again. The belief that somehow, some way, this is all for me carries me through. The belief that the universe is conspiring for things to work out for me and my family members. That puts me in a place of being with the as is, trusting that the future is mine for me. I can guide others around as best as I can, but those around me are living their own lives with their own soul's journey. I love that too. The belief or knowing that life involves pain, and it can still be so sweet. They can exist, like I was saying, the joy and the healing in the same space. Those are just a few. I'm just going to put a few out today of the beliefs and practices. And it also has me taking time to be still most mornings, to set intentions for my day, to set myself up for amazing days, to tend to myself first so others get the best of me, to watch any sort of outer influence I'm taking in. And believe me, I've gotten really quiet. I don't know who else can resonate with that, but I think that there's a lot of shifts going on in the universe and the planets. And ooh, today, when I'm recording, is the day before the powerful, it'll be August 19th full moon. That's feeling really full, but that's an aside. I don't know where I was going with that. So let me continue. The belief that my answers and yours lie right, not yours, mine, right inside of me. And even though I'm used to consulting others about what I should do and say, I can now sit with myself and ask the questions of myself, giving myself permission to take on new roles, use my voice, share my thoughts and feelings are huge areas of personal growth that have been a byproduct or a benefit of stepping into self-care and a willingness to overturn what I used to think about myself, about the world around me. I was thinking about it that probably 8 or 10, 7 years ago, I didn't even know what a boundary was. So just all this beautiful, juicy work that comes together. And this is how the spiritual practices help. Because if we learn to honor our needs and what's here for us, then we are just going to give more time for ourselves to be with how we move through something, which is really important. And I'd have to say another one of my spiritual practices is really tending to my emotions when they come up. And those are the ones that, oh, like even today when I'm recording and you heard me choke up, or seeing the women in the nail salon, it's just like being with it. You just get engulfed with the emotions. And like so many of us, I was a lifelong suppressor of emotions. I didn't know what to do with them. I was either acting them out, sometimes wildly, or acting them in, definitely wildly. And now that I have processes for being with those emotions more than ever, and like truly taking interest in why they're here for me, why are they showing up, and what they might represent, they lead me to what needs I have in the moment. And those can be things like quiet time. Maybe it's focusing on my work, resting, moving, eating nourishing food, having a conversation, speaking some truth, whatever it may be. It's that spiritual, the beliefs I'm holding, how I'm being with myself, how I'm regarding myself, no longer thinking that any part of what I do is wrong or off base or didn't hit the mark. It's like all is good, all is well. Because when we can see that it's not even about not only doing our best, when we can see that the whole right or wrong or duality is a thing of the past, and we're here just to learn the lessons, and we're cultivating compassion for ourselves. And so that's going to spill out to the outer world. It's just that there's no right or wrong to any of it. And it becomes a whole heck of a lot more fun, living does, when we move away the judgment and the criticism and the things that really used to hold us back. So I guess it's all to say I'm prepared as I can be, as I ever was. And I was reflecting on the part of my journey where I found my path with forming my business, training to become a personal growth coach, and bringing Mystical Sisterhood to life. Those are other beautiful byproducts of the last 20 years. So, whether you are heading into change yourself, you're smack dab in the middle of it, or you've already had a big change in your life, I can say take deep and nourishing care for you. We are here in this life together. I love being with women on the journey. I'm here for you. If you're feeling a desire to take a deeper dive this fall, I'm running an 8-week workshop called Sacred Imaginings Gathering the Sisterhood. And it'll be virtual. And it's where we dive into ourselves and our vision and what we came here to experience, discovering what are our birthrights and our truths, and really working with the limiting beliefs, and really what direction are we heading into. So change can bring about beauty, and I believe that fall is a great time to look at it. So whether you're craving that, or getting together with women to work on your creativity, or even joining me for a workshop on creating wisdom dolls with Heather Hansen, whatever it is, I am moving into the territory of really offering through Mystical Sisterhood the gathering of us to be with each other in just holding a field of love, coming from the heart, seeing each other for who we are, being vulnerable, experiencing change, experiencing shifts within and in our lives. So if any of those speak to you, you can go to maureenspielman.com. I think it's /events. And I'd love to have you. It's been such fun creating all of this, and it is carrying me through. And I believe we're here for each other. So I'm a different person I was when I began this particular part of my life 23 years ago. And I just hold it in appreciation and celebration for all that it is. And with that, I'm going to say, if you're going through change and you need any support, please reach out. And you can do so on my website or on my email at hello@maureenspielman.com. If anything rings true, then there's a space for you. Okay. Thanks for being here for this shorter of solo episodes. And I'll report back on the other side how everything has been going. Thanks, and thinking of you. Thanks for listening to this episode of Mystical Sisterhood. To learn more about my one-on-one coaching programs or join the Mystical Sisterhood membership, visit MaureenSpielman.com or MysticalSisterhood.com. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next episode.